Okay, let's unpack this. For anyone who's ever stepped foot in an industrial environment, you know the feeling. Whether it's the thrumming deck of an offshore rig, maybe the complex maze of a refinery, or just the constant motion of a busy loading dock, you know the omnipresent danger. It's a place where massive forces are at play, heavy machinery moves with incredible power, and, well, all too often, only inches separate a worker's hand from a crushing blow. Today, we're diving into a really critical, yet maybe often overlooked area: industrial safety, our mission, to explore how truly engineered tools are revolutionizing safety and, maybe surprisingly, boosting productivity in these really demanding fields like oil and gas, heavy industry, manufacturing, utilities. We want to move beyond those, generic, be careful speeches. We want to uncover practical, hands-free solutions that genuinely transform how things get done.
Yeah, and what's particularly fascinating here, especially for folks feeling swamped by information overload, is how easily genuine, really impactful solutions can get lost in all the noise. We'll be cutting through that today, looking at specific innovations tackling a really pervasive, incredibly costly problem. It's one that, despite how severe it is, often goes unaddressed as effectively as it could be. We want you to see how these tools aren't just another line item. They're a strategic investment that, frankly, pays dividends.
Absolutely. So, whether you're listening in as a safety officer grappling with those incident rates, maybe you're a procurement manager seeking tangible ROI for your purchases, or perhaps just someone like me, inherently curious about how these industries keep their people safe, that this deep dive is kind of your shortcut. We're aiming for those aha moments, those practical takeaways that can truly improve operational landscapes, things that can, well, literally stop hand injuries dead in their tracks. Let's start by truly getting a grip on the scale of this challenge. In industrial settings, our hands are, they're our primary interface with the world, right? They're the first thing in when we interact with equipment, and tragically, as the source material puts it, all too often, the first thing in danger. Just think about the daily grind. Rig floors with spinning pipes, refineries with all those intricate valve systems, drill sites where heavy loads are constantly in motion, loading docks, handling massive containers. It's just a relentless environment, a constant threat to fingers and hands.
And the numbers, well, the numbers really illustrate this starkly. Data doesn't lie. OSHA reports literally thousands of hand injuries every single year across various industries. And these aren't just minor scrapes we're talking about. They're injuries that can cripple workers, seriously impact their livelihoods, and significantly drain company budgets. So it's abundantly clear that the old methods, those well-intentioned but, let's face it, often generic be careful speeches, they simply aren't cutting it when you're facing such high-stakes environments. The human cost is immense, obviously, but the financial burden is equally staggering.
That financial burden, that's often what catches people off guard, isn't it? We hear a figure like, say, $40,000 for a hand injury, and our minds jump straight to medical bills. But what does that really encompass? Is it just the ER visit and maybe a few follow-up appointments, or are we missing a much bigger, kind of more insidious picture here?
Well, it's definitely a much bigger picture. That $40,000 figure, that's often just the tip of the iceberg, really, for the direct costs. Beyond the immediate medical expenses, the ER, surgery, rehabilitation, you've got the cost of the incident and investigation itself, which takes time and resources. Then there's the lost productivity. The injured worker is off the job, sometimes for a long time. Plus the cost of bringing in and training replacement personnel, which isn't cheap. And we also have to consider the potential for fines from regulatory bodies like OSHA, maybe legal fees if there's a lawsuit, and the significant increase you'll likely see in workers' compensation premiums. That all adds up fast. And this is all before you even factor in the intangible yet very real impact on team morale and that ripple effect on the overall safety culture. So, yeah, if the old be careful methods aren't working, the question becomes, what new approaches can genuinely offer a tangible edge in preventing these injuries?
Right. And this is where we introduce a genuinely engineered solution: Stiffy Hand Safety Tools. Now, these aren't just mere add-ons or, afterthoughts tacked onto a process. They are purpose-built instruments. They're strategically engineered tools designed specifically to avoid those dreaded pinch and crunch points that are just so prevalent in heavy industry. This is really about moving beyond just hoping people are careful to giving them the concrete physical means to be safe.
Exactly. The core promise here is that safety isn't merely a protocol you follow or a checklist you tick off. It truly is a promise, a commitment from the company, from the design to shield fingers, hands, and arms from harm. It's about empowering a team to operate with confidence and security, knowing their most valuable assets, their hands, are proactively protected. These tools are built with that foundational promise just woven into every design decision.
And the fundamental principle behind them is, well, it's elegantly simple: hands-free. These tools keep hands, fingers, and arms well outside the kill zone, as they say. They allow personnel to control movement, to push, pull, snare, guide, manipulate heavy loads, all from a safe, comfortable distance. The objective is crystal clear: no direct contact with the danger zone, ever.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me because these aren't just, glorified sticks or simple extensions like you might imagine. They're purpose-built instruments with a serious pedigree. You mentioned they were engineered by industry veterans.
Mm.
Can you give us maybe a brief example, like a specific danger or pinch point those veterans would have seen firsthand, and how they designed a tool to specifically eliminate that risk?
Well, absolutely. A really common scenario that comes to mind is, say, guiding a heavy pipe into position on a rig floor, or maybe maneuvering a heavy-duty sling. Before tools like these became standard, workers would often have to place their hands directly on the pipe or the sling trying to push or guide it. That puts them at risk of severe crush injuries or pinch points if the load shifted unexpectedly, or if another piece of equipment suddenly moved into the area. It happens. The veterans who developed Stiffy tools recognized this direct contact risk. It was glaring. So they designed the push-pull, for example, with a sturdy yet lightweight fiberglass handle and a specialized head. This allows a worker to apply force and guide the object from several feet away, completely eliminating the need for their hands to be anywhere near that line of fire. It transforms what was a high-risk manual interaction into a safe, controlled, remote action.
That's a fantastic illustration. It really brings it home. And their construction, well, it truly speaks volumes about that real world application focus. We're talking about tools built for heavy duty abuse in the toughest environments, from offshore rigs battling constant saltwater corrosion to utility yards thick with muck, manufacturing plants with constant wear and tear. When we look at features like reinforced fiberglass handles, non-conductive options, it's clearly not just about strength, is it? What specific challenges in those tough environments did those design choices directly address?
Right. The choice of reinforced fiberglass is crucial for a few key reasons. First, it offers an incredible strength-to-weight ratio. That means workers can wield these tools for extended periods without getting fatigued, which is actually a safety factor in itself. Less fatigue, fewer mistakes. But maybe more importantly, fiberglass is non-corrosive and it's non-conductive. This makes them indispensable in environments like offshore oil rigs, where salt water just eats away at metal, or in utility sectors where the risk of electrical contact is always present. You can't have metal there. And those high-vis grip areas, they aren't just for looks. They ensure the tool is always visible, even in low light or chaotic environments, which helps reduce trip hazards or accidental misplacement. Then you have things like the heavy-duty, non-kinking polyurethane cables on tools like the snare. That means they maintain their integrity and functionality even under extreme tension and repeated use, rather than fraying or failing right when you need them most. It's all about designing for survivability in really hostile conditions.
That brings us to a really critical dual benefit. These tools deliver both safety and productivity. It's not an either. The sources highlight their unmatched strength with over 600 pounds of pull capacity. That's serious. The idea of productivity without compromise is powerful, but can you elaborate a bit? How does a hands-free tool, which might seem like an extra step, actually speed up operations or make them more efficient?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive at first until you actually see it in action. Think about it. When workers are constantly worried about their hands, they naturally operate with more caution. They often slow down or maybe adopt awkward positions just to avoid contact. This can lead to inefficient movements, stops and starts, even damage to equipment because they're not engaging with it optimally. With a Stiffy tool, that risk of injury is fundamentally removed from the equation. That worry is gone. So workers can push, pull, snare, and guide heavy loads with confidence and precision. This translates directly to faster cycle times, fewer interruptions due to near misses or actual incidents, and just a more streamlined workflow overall. Equipment moves faster, safer, and with fewer pauses. It's really about empowering the crew to get more done in less time without ever compromising their well-being.
Okay, now let's zoom in a little on some of the specific tools that truly exemplify this hands-free philosophy and how they tackle different high-risk challenges. Let's start with what's often considered the workhorse, maybe the backbone of the system. First up, the Stiffy push-pull. The source material calls it the industrial standard in hands-free control. It's designed for managing those heavy-duty loads, pipes, and slings items that really don't play nice, as they put it. What makes it so indispensable in those scenarios?
The push-pull is foundational, really, because it addresses the most common need: safely manipulating large, heavy and often quite unwieldy objects from a safe distance. Its ergonomic fiberglass body means it's durable, but also lightweight enough for sustained use, which we mentioned is important. But it's the specialized heads that truly make it shine. They're designed to securely connect with pipes, slings, or even really awkward loads, allowing the worker to apply controlled force to guide, push, or reposition without ever having to put their hands directly on the moving object. This directly prevents those gnarled knuckles or bruised pride or, much, much worse, because your hands are simply nowhere near the point of potential impact. It's about maintaining that critical safety margin at all times.
Right. Then there's the Stiffy Snare Tool. That sounds like it's designed for those trickier, maybe more unpredictable moments. It's meant to secure, snag, and guide without ever touching the line of fire. Can you maybe paint a picture of where this really shines? What kind of situations is it built for?
Yeah, the snare tool is a real game changer for situations where you need to retrieve or secure something that's just out of reach, perhaps in a confined space or in a constantly moving environment. Think about grappling with things like steel chokes or picking up dropped gear from a vibrating deck, maybe guiding a line that's flapping around in the wind. These are items that, as you said, kind of want to bite. They're unpredictable, maybe heavy, or just in an awkward position. Its mechanism, featuring that non-kinking industrial-grade cable, allows you to loop around, pull, and reposition items safely. For instance, the Stiffy NST60 new snare tool. It boasts over 600 pounds pull, zero corrosion, total confidence. That incredible pulling capacity and the corrosion resistance mean it's reliable even for the most demanding marine or corrosive environments. It ensures you can snag and control without putting a hand directly into a dangerous zone.
Okay, and finally, we have the specialty hand safety tools like the SHT2 and SHT3. These sound like they're specifically for those right in the hazard zone moments, engineered for precision and maximum safety where maybe the other tools might fall short. What kind of functionality and protection do these offer?
Exactly. These SHT tools, like the Stiffy SHT242 hand tool, they're engineered for those precise, maybe more delicate maneuvers that still carry a high risk. They allow personnel to hold, guide, and push without a hint of exposure to pinch points or crushing loads. Imagine needing to adjust a small component within a tight space, or maybe guide a smaller part into alignment without your fingers being directly underneath a potential falling object or closing mechanism. Unlike a glove, which really only protects after an impact, these tools create a physical barrier. They actively keep the hand out of the way before anything can happen. The direct impact is profound. These tools save fingers, hands, and arms. No ifs, no buts, no excuses, as the material says. They're essentially the last line of defense in scenarios that require intricate, close-quarters interaction but still demand safety.
It's really clear these aren't one-size-fits-all tools then, are they? It's more like a suite designed for specific high-risk tasks. What stands out to you about how these tools, maybe working together, tackle such different challenges, ensuring that pretty much every scenario has a tailored, hands-free answer?
What truly stands out, I think, is their complementary nature. They form a comprehensive sort of layered defense system. The push-pull gives you that broad control for initial positioning and guiding large, heavy objects across more open spaces. It's the first line. The snare tool then steps in for those trickier, out-of-reach, or maybe unstable items, allowing for secure retrieval and guidance in more confined or unpredictable environments. And then finally, the SHT tools. They bridge the gap for those precision tasks where direct hand proximity might still feel necessary, but these tools physically remove that risk. They offer fine control, but with a protective buffer. Together, they really equip a crew for an incredibly wide array of interactions with hazardous materials or situations, optimizing each tool for a distinct type of interaction and drastically reducing the window for human error or exposure.
Okay, let's talk about the bottom line because, at the end of the day, safety has to make economic sense too for businesses. The sources make a pretty bold claim. Stiffy tools pay for themselves 100x over by drastically reducing the direct costs of injuries.
Wow.
That's an incredible figure. Could you help us understand the math behind that a little? What would a hypothetical scenario look like to achieve that kind of ROI?
Yeah, that's a critical question, and it's really where the true insight lies. Let's consider a Stiffy tool might cost, say, a few $100s, a reasonable investment. If using that tool prevents even one serious hand injury, a crushing blow, a severed finger, the ROI just skyrockets almost immediately. Remember that $40,000 direct cost we discussed earlier? Prevent one of those, and you've already paid for dozens, maybe even hundreds of these tools right there. Now scale that across an entire operation over time. These tools aren't just preventing one major injury, they're mitigating countless near misses, minor incidents. Things that still add up to lost time, reduced efficiency, and definitely impact morale. So when they say 100x over, it means for every dollar invested in the tool, you're potentially saving $100 in avoided costs down the line. It's not just about compliance checkboxes. It's about actively protecting your financial health from the, frankly, devastating ripple effects of an incident. It's truly an investment in uninterrupted operations and sustained profitability.
And the tangible benefits for businesses, they extend beyond just preventing that one major incident, right? It sounds like there's a positive ripple effect across the entire operation.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely multifaceted. First, quite simply, you get fewer injuries, fewer claims. This translates directly into safety wins that your auditors and insurers won't believe, as the source puts it. It impacts your insurance premiums positively, boosts your regulatory compliance record. That's huge. Second, it delivers higher productivity, zero compromise. We touched on this. Crews can work with confidence, which means they actually get more done in less time. There's no more taking the long way around just to avoid a perceived risk. They can operate efficiently and safely. Third, you get risk reduction you can prove. Your safety statistics transform. They become a showcase, not an excuse. This is invaluable for your company's reputation, for attracting top talent people who want to work somewhere safe, and certainly for investor confidence. It demonstrates active engineered risk mitigation.
That transparency and provable risk reduction, that must be a real game changer for how a company communicates its safety culture, both internally and externally, from the crew on the ground all the way to corporate headquarters.
It genuinely is. And the final, often overlooked benefit is simply bigger budgets for what matters. Every single penny saved on avoidable incidents, from medical costs to legal fees to lost productivity, is a penny you put back into gear, crews, and growth. Time two. This isn't just about avoiding costs. It's really about fostering an environment where excellence is the norm, where industrial leaders are remembered not just for their output, but for the crew they protect and the uptime they guarantee. It's about building a legacy of responsibility and efficiency.
Okay, so if you're listening and you're convinced by the power of Stiffy tools to transform safety and productivity, the next crucial question is where to get them. And critically, how do you ensure you're getting the right ones for your specific needs? This is where the PEnergy.com advantage comes into play, as highlighted in our sources. They're presented as the pro's choice for these specialized tools. Why is securing genuine Stiffy tools through a trusted supplier like them so crucial? Is it more than just brand preference?
Oh, that's a really important distinction to make. The risk of using knockoffs in safety-critical applications is just immense. You really don't want to go there. Inferior materials or maybe poor manufacturing in a non-genuine tool, that can lead to catastrophic failure. The tool breaks when you need it most. That renders the tool useless. Or worse, it could even create new hazards, completely defeating the entire purpose of the safety equipment in the first place. A genuine Stiffy manufacturer partnership, like the one PEnergy.com has, ensures you're not rolling the dice on knockoffs. You know what you're getting. You're getting tools that have been rigorously tested, designed to perform exactly as described, and they're backed by that commitment to quality and safety.
Right, authenticity is key. And beyond that, they offer some key benefits tailored for businesses making these crucial investments, don't they?
Exactly. For businesses buying in larger quantities, maybe multi-site operators, they offer volume pricing and wholesale. This simplifies the whole procurement process and ensures you get standardization across your operations without unnecessary back-and-forth negotiations on price. And perhaps most critically, they provide expert consultation. You're not just left guessing which tool or which length is right for my specific application. Their industry experts can actually guide you to the precise tools you need for your operational demands, preventing potentially costly mistakes of buying the wrong thing. And finally, fast logistics means no delays, no runarounds. It ensures you get the tools you need when you need them, minimizing any potential operational downtime while you wait. It's about making sure you're securing the right tools efficiently and reliably.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've really seen today how moving from reactive safety measures, those well-meaning but often insufficient be careful warnings, to proactive engineered solutions like Stiffy tools. Well, it isn't just about protecting people, important as that is. It's about truly empowering your workforce, boosting your bottom line through increased efficiency, and really fostering a culture of excellence.
Yeah, just to recap the main points. Hands-free safety tools, specifically things like Stiffy push-pulls, snare tools, and the specialty hand safety tools, the SHTs, they offer a robust, proven way to mitigate severe hand and finger injuries. That's point one.
Mm-hmm.
And simultaneously, point two is they enhance productivity and dramatically reduce operational costs. It's a comprehensive approach that really transforms safety from just a compliance burden into a genuine competitive advantage.
Hmm. This whole conversation, it raises an important question for you, the learner, to maybe think about after this. In a world that's constantly seeking to balance efficiency with well-being, how might embracing a hands-off approach to savvy redefine what being careful truly means? Not just in those heavy industrial settings we've discussed, but perhaps even in your own professional or even personal landscape.
That's a great point. Think about what other seemingly manual tasks, maybe beyond just industrial settings, could potentially benefit from a hands-off approach to elevate both safety and performance. This isn't just about widgets and machinery, right? It encourages us all to consider the broader implications of proactive, engineered solutions in pretty much all areas where physical interaction carries some level of risk. It's really about building a legacy of thoughtful, protective innovation, rather than simply reacting to challenges after they happen.